Welcome to AEC Today. I'm Lauren Davis.
And I'm George Johnson. Did you know that water aerobics can help increase cardiovascular fitness, help you lose weight, and soothe your joints all at the same time? According to fitness experts, water aerobics is one of the most effective and safest ways to get yourself into shape. This popular, low-impact exercise is said to be the best for people with arthritis. Join Valerie Roach, a certified water aerobics instructor and personal trainer, on tomorrow morning at 10:45 at the swimming pool.
Grief can be defined as an emotional, physical, and spiritual reaction in response to a death or loss. Tomorrow at 1:30, there will be a seminar entitled Dealing with Grief in Jesse R. Wagner Elementary School. Mrs. Helen Peace will give some insight, understanding, and Christian guidance that will help those dealing with grief to stand in the midst of their pain. This seminar will also help inform those who have not yet experienced grief but want to be prepared for this certain reaction of distress.
More prayer equals more power. As camp meeting winds to a close, take advantage of the prayer garden and the ministries provided there. Tomorrow is the last day of morning prayer at 6 and noon prayer at 12. Tomorrow is also the last day of prayer and counseling with care counselors Pastor Lisa Smith-Reed and Renee S. Jones. If you are in desperate need of a counseling session, sign up in the main pavilion or at the Prayer Garden Chapel.
Pine Forge Academy is a co-educational boarding academy with a spiritual, nurturing Christian environment that trains leaders for their future. There is a 100% graduation rate with 99% college placement. Pine Forge Academy offers advanced placement courses and specialty certificates in math, science, history, Spanish, and English. Pine Forge Academy is now accepting applications for the 2011-2012 school year. If you would like more information, call 610-326-5800 or visit pineforgeacademy.org. Tomorrow is the pastoral ordination service. What exactly is ordination? George Johnson has the story.
Excitement will fill the air on tomorrow evening. Why? The second Friday's main service of the Allegheny East Conference camp meeting is always reserved for the pastoral ordination service.
Ordination is the church's official recognition of a person's ministry. People are called to ministry and they feel the call, but when the church recognizes you as being called, is when the ordination takes place.
According to the Seventh-day Adventist Minister's Handbook, there are 3 steps that a minister must go through before becoming ordained: preparation, authorization procedure, and examination process.
The steps towards ordination, of course, is the preparation. That's the first thing, the preparation. You're required by policy to have at least a master's degree. Of course, sometimes we step out of those policies for reason of need. And there are men with bachelor's degree and so on who have been called and are working as ministers who eventually will, if they're on the track, will eventually get ordained if they can prove their call. That's the first step, preparation. The second step, of course, is coming into the work and showing that you're a productive minister. Your baptismal record, the way you run a church, are you able to really have formation as a minister? And if you do that, then you're on track for ordination. The conference executive committee will meet and make a decision on whether you'll be recommended or not. If you're recommended, then the union gets the recommendation from the local conference. There is a committee that meet with these men, and they do in-depth questioning as to what your doctrinal stand is. They'll be looking at, how you have conducted yourself over the years as a minister, and what you look at in the future, where you're looking in the future to go with your ministry. All of those things are considered.
Allegheny East Conference's ordination service presents a powerful worship experience. even for the members of the congregation.
It's a reassurance to the other believers that the transfer of power is happening in an organized way.
I personally see this service as a charge to me as an individual to go out there and, because out there is the God's vineyard. So the same charge that the pastors are being given to go out there, I see it as a charge for me to go out there and do what God has called me to do.
Well, I know that the ministers now are being ordained to do the work for the Lord, and that's what makes it sacred.
At the beginning of the ordination service, various pastors carry in emblems, each meaning something different.
Some years ago, when Elder Kibble was president of our conference, he came up with symbols that we use during the ordination service. The first one is the sword, and that has to do with what the Bible talks about over in Ephesians, that the sword represents the Word of God. Take the Ephesians 6 talk about taking the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And then Hebrews 4:12 talk about the Word of God being quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of the soul and spirit. So this is the symbolism that the sword represents. And of course, there's a shield that goes along with it, which stands along with the same thing, taking the shield. And after that, there is a staff that we have, and our staff is a special one. It's made from olive wood, and the crook on it is a ram's horn. And that speaks to the fact that the man or woman is now a shepherd. And, the shepherd needs his staff. It is to protect the flock and to keep the flock together. So it really is a symbol of protection and also of service, Then there is, of course, we have a Bible, and that speaks for itself. The preacher is going to deliver the word. We live by the word. And then there is the matter of the bowl and the water in the goblet and a towel. That represents service. Over in Matthew 20, Jesus told his disciples that they were not like the princes. They should not lord it over people, that this is about service. He said, he that is greatest among you, let him be your servant. And so these symbols have to do with service. They represent the service that the minister will perform. He is not a lord. He is a servant in his congregation.
The North America Division Ministerial Association supports 4,500 pastors and 108 ministerial directors across the United States, Canada, and Bermuda.
In order to support the local pastor, we need to find out what the needs are for the local pastor in any given conference or union. And once we find those needs, then we're able to better support. In general, we provide resources for them to be able to do ministry like evangelism, preaching tools, and we're particularly focusing on the 5 F's: faith, family, finance, fellowship, and the fitness of our pastors.
Williams will give the charge to the pastors who will be ordained tomorrow evening. They are Carl Brewer, Howard Duncan, Michael Dyson, Eric Hatcher, Sujan John, and Lee Kamani. This is George Johnson reporting for AEC Today.
The ordination service will begin at 7:30 in the Luther R. Palmer Pavilion.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of AEC Today. I'm George Johnson.
And I'm Lauren Davis. We'll see you next time.